Hey and welcome, msKIRAspeaks. Before we get started, I ask that you watch the videos till the end, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. Time is not on my side today, child. So let's get right on into it. We are here for another episode of Queens, Season 1, Episode 9, Bars. So the episode opens and the ladies, that's Jill, Valeria, Naomi, Lauren, aka Muffin, and Eric also are all at the cemetery standing in front of a headstone. Baby. From this very moment, I was hot. I studied everything super closely the second time I watched it to do this review. So we're standing in front of the grave and Valeria says, "It doesn't feel real." "It's not, it's a nightmare," Jill says. Little Muffin says, "It feels weird, right? Saying goodbye like this?" Valeria says, "It's closure." And then she lays down some white roses and says, "Rest easy." "What now?" Naomi asks. "I don't know," Jill replies. Eric says, "It doesn't feel right to tour." "Not without Bree," Naomi adds. Jill says, "Darren starts his trial next week. I hope he gets the chair," Eric says. Now I am very intentionally putting darn near every word in this opening scene because they played with everybody's emotions, okay? So that's what he deserves, Eric adds. "So what now?" Muffin asks. "Figure it out." But Naomi starts, "The queens are dead." Jill finishes. "I love you guys," Muffin says. "Everybody take care of themselves. Stay in touch," Eric says, and he and Muffin walk away. So the ladies, they do their little Queens Forever hands, and Naomi tells Jill, "Look, this wasn't your fault." Jill says, "Talk soon," and as she walks away. And then finally, Valeria and Naomi walk away. Now, this opening scene had fans hot, myself included. When episode 8 ended, the flat line had stopped and we heard a heartbeat. But now we open episode 9 at a gravesite with words that lead us to believe that Brianna has passed away. We were all really confused and annoyed, but they never said Brianna was dead or showed a name on that headstone, tombstone, whatever you want to call it. So I kept watching, and I hope y'all will keep watching this review. So it's 3 months later, and we see a sold sign being taken down. Turns out Naomi's the one, she's bringing it inside, and Jojo runs up and says, "We have a house." Indeed they do. Bree would be so happy it stayed in the family. Eric is cooking, and it appears they have all moved into Brianna's house together. Eric starts asking Naomi what they are, and she tells them they're roommates. They are giving their daughter a stable home so they can co-parent. Co-parent? Isn't Jojo like 20? She doesn't need them under the same roof at that age to be her parents and co-parent her. Queens, are you borrowing storylines from Our Kind of People? Which makes a little more sense because at least Nikki is 17, but I digress. So Naomi reveals to us that Eric is broke after paying Jada and getting evicted. Eric brings up the kids at the hospital and says they're not roommates, they're family. Muffin comes in because apparently she lives there too, and she's studying for the bar. So we see Valeria in the studio and she's rapping about her and the rest of the queens, and it looks like she's trying to be a solo artist. She sounded okay, and I'm gonna leave it there. She asked, "How does she sound?" And then she walks in and she says a few words, but the sound engineer, he's hitting her with the, hand signals. She asks him if he speaks, and he says yes, but talking too much to the talent is unprofessional. He only has one job, and that's to make her sound good. Frankly, his job is boring because making her sound good is really easy. She thanks him, and they chit-chat, and he asks her out to eat. So Jill somehow now is an actress, and she's on set, and she's asking for another take. She's kissing this guy, and they're telling her everything is... Pardon me, guys. Your girl just had a whole coughing fit. Had to get some water and a cough drop. Hopefully it doesn't look and sound too weird. We're going to keep moving. So Jill is asking for another take. They're telling her everything is fine, but somehow she won't take their word for it. So one of the people on the set says they're going to give her one more take, and she kind of pulls it to the side and says, listen, sleeping will eventually show up, not sleeping will eventually show up on camera. Now, she is not recording with the Queens anymore. Why didn't she call Wyclef, who was trying to get her to do a solo album anyway? Just a question. So Muffin was complaining they were out of ice cream earlier, so now she and Naomi at the grocery store. Naomi is like, could use your help, as she's loading the car. But Muffin, she's too busy eating ice cream. Muffin says, you know, she was up to 4 a.m. studying for the bar. The impact of their song and what happened with Brianna made her want to do more in her life than rap. She's retired. She's going to be a public defender. She asked Naomi what she's going to do now. And Naomi says she doesn't know. Music doesn't feel right to her. Nothing feels right with Bree gone, except being a good mom to JoJo. Muffin jokes around and says, and playing house for Eric. So Naomi tells her, take the cart back. I'll take that, someone says. And Naomi turns around. Zadie, you work here? It's Remy, y'all. It's Remy Ma, y'all, with the bad wig. And I mean, I don't mean bad, meaning good either. Why did they do the good sis like that? Don't look so disgusted, Zadie says. It's not like that. I'm just surprised, Naomi says. A few words, and then Zadie gets back to work. Muffin asks, who's that? She was known as Lady Z, one of the coldest female MCs in hip-hop history. They battled, Naomi says. She was a real rival. So Valeria and her studio engineer are out for dinner. He asked her if she poisoned her co-host on The Shade. That's a nasty rumor. She says, I gave her an opportunity to show her true racist colors to the world. The two are hitting it off quite well. And the place is about to close. I know a place, Thomas says, and off to the next location. So Valeria is telling him what happened with Bree. He asks her if she wants kids. She's conflicted. She's like, yes and no, then yes. And she asks him if he's ever been married. He says no. So some more conversation, and then the place that they were at, which was the bar, is about to close. He knows the place. Now they're at the diner. The sun is coming up. They kiss. So then we see them, I guess, after leaving the diner, they're in the parking lot. He says he knows the place. Next thing we know, they're in Vegas getting married. I am not a fan of Valeria, but I'm not mad at this storyline. Since she just has to have one, I just hope the man's not a serial killer. So Jill wakes up in her trailer, and she was having a nightmare about what happened with Bree and Darren. She has 11 missed calls from Valeria. When someone, I assume an assistant, comes in and asks if she has slept. She hasn't. You need sleep. She puts a photo of Jill and the girls on a table. She asks where that came from, and she's like, no, she don't want it there. Just take it with her. So Eric and Naomi, they are at their new place, aka Brianna's old house, and he asks her if she spoke to Jill. Naomi tells her she can't reach her, but she's worried about her. He says it feels weird being there. He replays the night of the billboard, and if he didn't charge Darren, the second shot doesn't go off. We don't know what would have happened, and we need to move forward the best way we know how, Naomi tells him. She says she ran into Lady Z. Naomi, so she tells, at the grocery store, whatever, and Naomi says she was mad, annoying, and arrogant. Eric says, but she was good. If she was good, she'd still be relevant. Eric has to remind her 6 months ago she was not relevant. She says she wasn't the only one that had a problem with Lady Z. She had the backing of Frank Black, who was right up there with Puff and Timbo as producers. She messed that up. Eric remembers she assaulted him, and when he said that, for some reason, I already knew there was more to the story. You can't be sour. You can't be a sour, difficult bitch like Zadie, Naomi continues. They talk a little bit more. Eric says, you don't like the chick, but I think you might have a little more empathy for her journey. So we hear the beat to Muffin's song, and then some white girl saying, you're not that chick. Cash Mermaid, to be exact, featuring The Bakery, who consists of Muffin's old crew. Child, I cannot. So JoJo comes running in to show Muffin the video. Muffin is studying, but JoJo says it's an emergency. JoJo just be in the middle of it all, y'all. Just in the middle all the time. So Muffin laughs, and she gives her phone back. Cash Mermaid's real name is Child, what is her name? I lost my spot. Rebecca Stanzlowski. She DM'd her a few years back saying she was a fan of wannabe rapper. She was cool, humble, she schooled her to the game, and now she's taking shots. JoJo wants to know what she's gonna do. Muffin's like, she's not worried, she's retired. Okay, Muffin, I hear you on your grown woman-ish. Hold on, y'all, let me take this thing out of my mouth. Because it was aggravating me, I'm gonna have to edit that out later. Naomi shows up to Zadie'S job to apologize. She asked her to record something. She's been in a rut lately, and she's one of the only people that could push her. Maybe getting back in the booth could restart her career. Zadie says she works hard day in and day out. She has health insurance and everything she needs to live a normal, regular life. The best part, they respect her. She doesn't need her charity. So Naomi says a couple more words before Zadie heads on her way. She gets a call from Valeria. She has an announcement. So she's back at Bree's old house with Eric and Muffin, and they're talking about what it could be. Muffin asked if they've heard of Cash Mermaid. C-Merb, cartoon rapper who's dominated SoundCloud, Eric says. He almost signed up. Her mom bought some unseasoned potato salad to the meeting. Who brings potato salad to a meeting? Anyway, so Valeria shows up with Thomas and tells them this is her husband. In the kitchen, Muffin and Naomi tells Valeria, you just got conned by a woman pretending to be your mother, and now you marry a dude on the first date? They got a point. Everything that happened to Bree reminded her that life is short. Valeria says that she only wants to be married once. She did it. She's going to make it work. Naomi points out that she does not know anything about him, and he does he know anything about her mom, her family. That's marriage. Total honesty, intimacy. Valeria says she's ready. Let's try this again. Eric says, let's pop some champagne. Zadie pops up on Naomi in the studio and says, let's do this. Zadie gets in the booth. She's doing it off the dome, off the top of her Remy flow. She raps about her life, misogyny and hip hop, and what happened with that assault, it sounds like. Naomi is on her Brandy-ish. She's singing the hook, sounding oh so nice. After they're finished, they hug. Naomi says, we could polish this song tonight and drop it tomorrow. But Zadie says, she's not back. She meant it when she said she was done with the business. Well, what was the whole point of going to the studio and make it a track then? I guess, girl. So Muffin gets a call from Becky, and she asks why she's dragging her name in these streets. She says she called to apologize. Blah, blah. Muffin says they're good. Becky keeps talking, and she asks for Muffin to advise her. Muffin says she got her. Muffin, don't fall for the hype, girl. Becky cannot be trusted. Valeria and Thomas try to pick honeymoon locations, and they can't decide on one. So he suggests New York instead. He could meet her family, and then they could visit his folks in Jersey. He says they could fly to the Caribbean after. His folks are dying to meet her. Valeria is quiet as a church mouse. Valeria lies and says her family is still in Queens. Thomas says he has a big family and they're really close. He asks if something's wrong, and I don't know what was so hard about telling him she was an orphan, but no one asked me. So Jill's laying in bed, and as she dozes off, the nightmares start coming again. Then there's a knock at the door. It's the assistant. They'll be ready for her in about an hour. She suggests that she calls her friends because whatever it is that she's going through, she shouldn't have to go through it alone. So Zadie and Naomi, they're, having drinks and some conversation, shooting the, and Naomi asks, don't you miss this when a fan comes up? Don't you miss the love? And she says for sure, she misses music. She respects hip hop. Not Naomi. Zadie says for sure she misses it. She, oh, child. For sure she misses it. She misses music. She respects hip hop. It's the game she can't stand. This is Zadie talking. she doesn't work with predators at Don's. And then Naomi asks, like, what she talking about, Zadie? And then she finally says her assaulting Frank Black back in the day wasn't the whole story, but we knew that. So they see, we see a guy approach. It's Jill sitting in the truck. He says he likes making money, but he can't say he's happy to see her. Jill's like, look, I don't feel like talking, so, let's get to the business. So he asks her if she's sure about it, and Jill, she takes the white girl and hands him the cash. Now, we saw Jill make a phone call earlier, right after the assistant said she shouldn't go through this alone. And I thought it might be one of the girls, or hell, even Tina, or hell, even Alicia. But no. So Naomi and Eric are talking. This thing is too close. And I hope I don't knock it down. I'm trying to fix it. Now we shaking. Naomi and Eric are talking about how the whole Frank Black story got flipped on Zadie. Eric says he knows him. He doesn't seem like the type. And Naomi's like, is there a type? Like, what's the type? What does the type look like? So they talk more, and the more they talk, the more annoyed Naomi gets. Thinking about how many other girls he may have done this to, and he's still receiving accolades. I think she said he got a Grammy like just 2 years ago. So she says Zadie is at peace with this, so she's not going to do anything if she doesn't want her to. But it just angers her that someone with Zadie's talent can be driven out of the business because of some dude. She wants to burn the whole thing down and just start over. They need more Zadie's. She asked Eric to make some calls and see if they can get her a deal. So Cash Mermaid, she goes into the restaurant Muffin is at. She slaps her books off the table, talking about, why did you call me here, you broke ass Kim K wannabe? Excuse me, Becky? Okay. So Muffin peeps game as she sees the bakery recording behind her. She laughs and she calls it a clout trap. She says she's retired and calls them sad before she leaves. So sounds like, Jill is listening to the radio. She's driving along. She's thinking. And then she starts having flashbacks of Brianna. And then she throws the drugs out the window. Few seconds later, the cops pull her over. The male cop tells her her registration sticker is expired. And she apologizes. She says she's been busy. And he says he has to cite her. But it's a quick fix, I think he says something about get it fixed in 30 days or whatever. But as he's talking, a female officer walks up and asks if the drugs flew out of her window. If I was Jill, I would have lied and said no. I mean, it could have her fingerprints on it, but the whole series of events is just entirely unrealistic. They couldn't see her. They couldn't see that being thrown out the window. It was dark, and they wouldn't have found it that quickly, when they pulled her over. Does that make any sense? I don't even know. But that's just my feelings on it. Like, this is just total bullcrap. Valeria is worried about telling Thomas she's an orphan. Naomi is telling her she's married and she can't keep secrets, especially ones that make you for better or worse and define who you are, Eric says. Muffin walks in and Valeria asks her how easy is it to get an annulment. Annulment? Really, Valeria? Is that serious? While they're talking, here comes JoJo with the video to show Muffin. Like I said, JoJo stay in some mess. It was the video of Muffin walking out and Cash Mermaid, walking out of Cash Mermaid earlier. Muffin says she was trying to pull me back in. She says she has to focus on her growth, her maturity, and then she stops and watches the rest of the video. This mermaid chick was talking trash after Muffin left. Ain't that right, my N-words? She says everyone is appalled. They're making their little comments, to say the least, but that was all she wrote for Muffin. She wanted it, she got it. So Muffin heads back to the studio for a little more conscious battle response. She kills it. She walks out the booth, mix that, send it. She just ended Mermaid's career. Eric asks if she's back, but Naomi gets a call from Jill. She needs them. She's in jail. Again, where is Alicia's stinking ass? I mean, I know she's on Harlem, but I mean, So the ladies go pick up Jill and they got her still looking bad in this bad ass wig. And it looks like she actually done did the drugs. How they have her just looking so crazy. Eric is there too and they all hug. The ladies are back at Brianna's old place and they're discussing what Jill has been up to. Valeria tells her Darren isn't on her. He's a psycho. She says she should have called them. Naomi says they don't have to do life alone anymore. Valeria asks if she needs help, and Jill says no. She says she brought the drugs, but she didn't do them. She threw them out the window. Naomi tells her Valeria's married, and Jill tells her, basically, because she's like, well, are you crazy? But then basically she tells her to face her fears, and they all say they miss Bree. They're super messy, but they have each other. So Muffin comes in and she says, Jill is not going to jail. The charges were dropped. She called the DA's office and explained they don't have a case. There is no way to prove the drugs came from Jill's car, where they originated from. It will cost you lots of money to prove a misdemeanor against a Catholic celebrity who just survived an attempted murder by her ex-husband. And then when they hung the phone up on her, she called the mayor. She had performed at his daughter's Sweet 16. So Eric comes in, he tells them that Zadie'S name is still trash around town, but Muffin's popping again. The two best offers he got were from Def Jam and Interscope. And then Muffin's like, they're cool with, the new Conscious Muffin. Eric says, they're feeling it. And Naomi's like, she's worried. She's like, of course they say that now, but what happens when her first album doesn't sell? After some conversation, Naomi says, there's not a label that's for artists run by women supporting other women that isn't out for the money. There should be, Muffin says. The hell is Nasty Girl Records? Zadie asks. The ladies say it's their new venture and they want to sign her as their first artist. Now, I don't know where they got all this money from, but I'm with it. So Naomi says they could be her full service outlet. They have their own space, own studio. Eric chimes in, management and publishing. Valeria says they're going to do it differently. They want to give the artist the power. They want to help others do what they did for themselves. Find their voices, get back on top. Blah, blah. They're going to punch the music business in the face. That's cute and all. That's how Zadie's looking. She's like, and it's a dope pitch, but how are y'all going to make money with just me? Muffin says she's in. So is Jill. So is Valeria. And Naomi says they're all going to release their solo music on Nasty Girl Records. Aren't you ready to take back what they stole from you? Naomi asks. Zadie signs on a dotted line. And someone in the background says, you about to go all the way up. I said, they so silly. Afterwards, they pop bottles to celebrate, and they show us flashes of Jill looking like she's going to get some sleep. Naomi looked like she was going to give Eric another try. Then we're at the cemetery again, as I prepared to be annoyed all over again. Valeria is there with Thomas, and this time we see the tombstone with Valeria's mom's name on it. We still don't know if that's really Valeria's mom, but that's what Con Mom told her. We're going to talk about this tombstone in a minute. She tells Thomas the truth about her mom and being an orphan. She tells him she doesn't have any family. He hugs her and says, you do. So then we flash back to them celebrating. Naomi says there's one more person they have to call. We see a hazy looking Costa Rica as Nasty Girls plays in the background, and we pan to Brianna having a drink. We see her ignore Naomi's call and go back to reading her book. Then two of her kids come running up, and she gets up to take them what looks like to the beach, and that is where we end. Child, I about threw something at the TV. Please put your thoughts on this episode below in the comments. I want to know. I was confused and annoyed by this episode. The Costa Rica scene was a little bit hazy, so I'm like, okay, maybe she is dead, even though they're calling her. But then the kids ran up, so I'm like, oh, okay, she's alive. And I was happy and mad all at the same time. I peeped that they never show her tombstone with the name on it in the beginning, and that they never said she was dead. But why did they have all that conversation at the tombstone? Why did they all have to be at the tombstone for Valeria's mama? Why? They didn't all need to be there, all of them, for Valeria's mama? Like, they didn't even know Valeria's mama. Valeria didn't even know Valeria's mama. Anyway, and that's what I was saying, and some of the conversation made no sense to have at the mom's plot. So, but this show knows how to push my buttons lately. Whole foolishness overshadowed Remy's entrance. If you've made it this far, put a diamond ring emoji for Valeria getting married in the comments. I hope you'll come back and join me for episode 10. While you're here, please check out some of my other content. Thank you. And before you go, like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate you. Peace.